Hi everybody, I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Erin Harkless Moore. Erin, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, Brittany, for having me.
We're sitting right now in a really uncertain time, or we're coming out of an uncertain time, should we say. The last year and a half, whether it be the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, high inflation, right now we kind of have a soft landing. So how are you navigating this moment?
It's, as you noted, Brittany, it's definitely a challenging time, but for us, we are staying true to our principles at Pivotal Ventures. That is the firm where I lead investments. We're a company that was founded by our principal, Melinda French Gates, to advance social progress, women's power and influence, and support well-being for communities in our country. So for us, we're finding great opportunities in innovation, investing in funds that are led by women, and into companies that are tackling some really big social problems, like caregiving for modern families, an area that's hugely underinvested in. It's a $648 billion market. And so we're just leaning into that opportunity and innovation in areas. And I think, in challenging times, that's when you can make some of the most money and drive the greatest returns.
That's really interesting because in challenging times, you have, I think, two choices. One is to ignore it and lean out, so to speak. And that you see a lot of people do that. You ignore a problem, hope it goes away on its own, but you're saying lean in. Can you speak more to that?
Sure. So for us, it's about, again, continuing to source new investment opportunities. So I say our door is open. If you're a woman raising a fund, if you're building a company from the earliest stages, we want to talk to you. And again, as I said, it's about figuring out how to invest early and get behind some of these ideas before others see them, because that's where, again, you will drive the greatest return and I think also deliver on the impact objectives and the change that we want to see in our society.
Having a good eye is critical. What's on your radar right now? What are you looking at?
Oh, geez, it's almost too many.
Hints. I want to write stuff down.
It's almost too many. It's almost too many. I mean, we last year met with over 200 funds. These are all women-led firms, early stage venture firms, growth firms here in the United States. So it's not a problem of pipeline by any means. I think what I'm most excited about is the people that, as things have slowed down a little bit, the last really decade, but for sure the last 18 months coming out of the pandemic, valuations were going up. Rounds were closing as quickly as you could sort of bat your eye. Equity markets continue to sail. And we've seen some, a little bit of rationalization, as you said, return. So for us, we're again excited to find women that are building firms that are again backing the next generation of leaders that look more reflective of our country. So we've already closed on 4 fund commitments this year. Across a diversity of themes like AI, which is I think what everybody. I can't have a conversation without talking about AI.
That's been all my conversations all day.
And this is a firm that she was investing in AI back in 2017. So has long tenured, knows the patterns, knows the founders that are building in this space. Fintech, women's health, digital health, all areas where we've deployed capital, both directly and into funds in the last 12-ish months and this year as well. So we're excited about those opportunities.
Throughout our conversation just now, a bunch of times you have said women-led, women investors, things like that. Why is that so important to you?
Oh, geez, I feel such a privilege to be able to invest and provide the rigor of the underwriting and the sourcing that I've done throughout my entire career, but have that alignment with the values and the world we want to see. And that started at Pivotal Ventures with our founder and principal, Melinda French Gates, a leading global philanthropist, advocate for women and girls. We see the opportunity. If we're following the same patterns and only investing in a certain type of person, we're locking out too many people in this country if we're not bringing a more expansive lens. So it serves us all, and I am going to be very happy to report great returns with that thesis and with that point of view. So we're excited to continue to deploy capital with that lens.
You did mention in your last response something about AI, so I do want to ask you, because that has been the hot topic, that really has been the undercurrent in conversations here, because as we know, November 30th, OpenAI launched ChatGPT, and really the rest is history. It's really been in the national discourse now. Are you excited about AI? Do you think we should embrace it? What's your sentiment?
It's a great question, Brittany. I'm excited because I think the pace and speed of change is inevitable, right, with AI, and the ability to do things more quickly, probably with less capital, and be more efficient is really exciting. The thing that causes me a bit of worry is just hopefully that we can slow down enough to not build in systems that have bias. And we see that already in how we make decisions in the financial markets. So I hope that we are able to not have that play out with AI. So if there's one thing that worries me, it's that. But I think the opportunities are tremendous, and every company that's building now, if they're not thinking about how AI will impact their business model or how they can innovate with it and around it, they're probably missing out.
In this conversation, you sound very optimistic for the future, optimistic for the present moment, but I do want to take us just a step back to maybe about a year ago. We saw historic inflation, record high gas prices. Every headline was there's a looming recession. A year later, how are you feeling? Do you think we'll hit a recession? What's your take?
I mean, I wouldn't be an investor, I think, particularly at the early stages, if I wasn't more of an optimist or finding the positive in the green shoots. But I do agree. I mean, if we flash back to 12 months ago, things were looking quite dire. And I don't think we're out of the woods. There are a whole host of folks that are at a stage of their career where they have not seen a financial crisis of any sort. And I remember very acutely, the great financial crisis in 2008, and there were multiple shoes to drop over that sort of 2008 into 2009 period. So I remain optimistic, but I think with caution. And it's important to just stay true to your investment strategy, to your thesis, stay invested, stay diversified. I think that's what allows portfolios to remain, resilient, drive impact, drive great returns, regardless of the macroeconomic environment.
I want to dive a little deeper because I'm lucky, I'm here in the room with you, but for all the viewers out there that are maybe looking for some investment advice, what would be the top piece of advice you would give people, especially younger people right now?
Sure. I think, all of us, whatever you're, young, old, you have, with your personal assets to invest, I think the biggest thing I would encourage people to do is know what you own. Whether it's your 401k, your Fidelity brokerage account, your Vanguard funds, look under the hood and make sure that those companies are building in a way that resonates with you and the world that you want to see. Ask those questions. And I think, again, really know what you own and be okay to take some risk and put some capital to work, even when the market environment would give you pause.
And are you thinking now's a good time? Are you bullish on risk taking right now?
Yes. I think as someone who plays a lot in the private markets, and particularly at the earliest stages, often the greatest innovation we see comes out of periods of stress and turmoil in the markets. If we roll back the clock post-2008, some iconic tech businesses were built out of the ashes of that challenging time. So I remain very convicted that I think, again, it will be choppy for sure, but there's greater space now for founders to take those risks, to come into the markets and hopefully, again, build companies that will grow at scale and be some of the leading franchises that'll drive our economy forward.
Erin Harkless Moore, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Brittany.